Well, a very good evening to you. You are just in time for Channel 1 News Hour this Monday, the 24th day of August. The year is 2020. Well, it's time for us to take a look at what is happening in the news. But tonight, we begin with what is happening in terms of COVID-19 within the country. What do the statistics look like, and what is the Ministry of Health saying? Well, the numbers appear to have gone down. Is it good news? Definitely, we will be getting those details. But first, let's begin with the data from the Ministry of Health that is now indicating that the number of people who are tested in the last 24 hours has gone significantly down. We are looking at 3,381, and the net effect is that the number of confirmed cases now stands at 193, which is slightly lower than usual. And the Ministry of Health, of course, is attributing this to the low levels of testing going on in the country. When we're talking about recoveries, we're talking about 225 people having recovered from the virus within the last 24 hours. And unfortunately, we've also reported deaths, and this is 6 people who have died in the past 24 hours as a result of COVID-19. Let's now take a look at the testing that has been happening in the country so far since March, when the first case was reported. We're talking about heading towards 500,000 at 425,364 tested so far. Confirmed number of cases out of this is 32,557. Looking at recoveries, 18,895 people recovered so far, and the number of people who have died as a result of COVID-19 in the country now standing at 554 cases reported so far by the government. That is the latest statistics from the Ministry of Health when it comes to the number of infections of COVID-19 in the country. For now, let's take a look at other stories that are shaping the news as well in the highlights. No resolution yet as 12-member Senate committee tasked with finding consensus on the third basis revenue sharing formula fails to unlock the stalemate. Ministry of Health cautions over COVID-19 infection numbers as ODM leader Raila Odinga defends party position on alleged theft of 43 billion shillings at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority. And 2 suspects in the Kilimani shooting incident to spend another night in police custody, with a ruling on their bail application expected to be made tomorrow. Well, Simon Karoda is our sign language interpreter, and my name is Catherine Achieng'a. Let's now focus on the stories that have been shaping the news throughout the day, and we begin with the latest from the Senate, where the journey towards finding an acceptable formula to share revenue among counties appears far from over after 12-member committee tasked with building a consensus failed to unlock the stalemate. This effectively dealt a blow to a planned sitting of the Senate on Tuesday to dispense with the matter that has sharply divided the Senate. Gladys Mungai with details of the headache facing the committee as the clock ticks.
After 9 attempts at unlocking the stalemate, senators opted to appoint a 12-member team to find a suitable formula that will solve the puzzle on how to share out revenue among 47 counties. But as fate would have it, as of Monday, the team was yet to come up with a plausible formula to share the 316.5 billion shillings among counties. The legislators spent hours in closed-door meetings, and when they emerged, it was evident that the puzzle on how to share the revenue remained unsolved. The situation now throws into disarray a special sitting that was set for Tuesday when the House adjourned last week. Sources at the committee say the 12 senators are yet to settle on appropriate formula, but says the committee is hopeful that by Thursday there will be a consensus on the divisive shilling. The committee has so far met the Commission on Revenue Allocation and the Treasury as they seek to find a middle ground. For Channel 1 News, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Of course, we'll continue to keep tabs of what is happening in the Senate. Let's now focus on health, and the Ministry of Health is cautioning Kenyans against the notion that the COVID-19 curve has been flattened owing to the number of cases being recorded in the country over the past week. Health officials say that the situation is attributable to low samples tested over the same period, occasioned by challenges in the reagent supply chain. The caution coming as the COVID-19 burden rose to 32,557 after 193 new cases were confirmed from 3,381 samples that have been tested. Nancy Okware has the details.
Week, debate has been rife over what the relatively low COVID-19 numbers being recorded in the country actually meant. The Minister of Health saying that the numbers were attributed to low samples being tested owing to challenges with reagent supply chain.
But now and then we might have a challenge in this supply chain, and that is when you see us having lower numbers of testing. But we are expecting a consignment of tests anytime now. And as soon as that arrives, we shall still go back to our figures of before, or maybe even higher, as we continue with our testing.
The Director General in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Patrick Amoth, saying that Kenya's COVID-19 curve would only be assumed to have been flattened once the positivity rate drops to 5% and is sustained for a period of 2 weeks.
But for the past 1 week or so, you have noticed a decreasing positivity rate, which as of today stands at 6%. So that tells you are making progress, but you have not hit the magical 5%, which we need to hit and sustain for 2 weeks before we can actually say that we are flattening the curve.
On Monday, an additional 193 people tested positive for the contagion after 3,381 samples were tested, pushing the total caseload in the country to 32,557. Among the new cases is a 2-month-old infant, with the Ministry of Health saying that so far, 768 children under the age of 10 had contracted the virus, out of which 4 had succumbed. Additionally, 430 children under 5 years have contracted the virus, with 2 having died.
Because of the generally mild nature of disease in children, it was thought that there could be community reservoirs of transmission in households. But emerging evidence suggests that children may not be the super spreaders of the virus as was thought earlier.
In the latest statistics, Nairobi had 78 cases, Embu 24, Garissa 21, Kiambu 18, Nyeri 13, Mombasa 10, while Samburu had 6 cases. The number of recoveries rose to 18,895 after a further 225 patients were discharged, out of which 188 were from the home care program and 37 from various health facilities.
Ours is to appeal to our healthcare workers to be able to continue to render these important services at this critical time, but at the same time enter into dialogue on the grievances that they may have.
However, 6 more patients have succumbed to the virus, pushing Kenya's total fatalities numbers resulting from the contagion to 554. The Ministry of Health is cautioning Kenyans against the notion that the COVID-19 curve has been flattened owing to the low number of cases being recorded, with the health officials saying that for one to say that the curve has been flattened, then the positivity rate has to drop to 5% and be sustained at that for 2 weeks. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
And now the Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga has defended his party's position on the alleged theft of 43 billion shillings at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority. Raila says the recent call by ODM for a forensic audit of COVID-19 funds does not amount to defending graft suspects.
ODM leader Raila Odinga has faulted the ongoing crusade against KEMSA over the alleged theft of 43 billion shillings meant to fight COVID-19 in the country. The ODM leader backing the party's position that only an extensive audit can bring to the fore any financial impropriety in the management of the multi-billion shilling kitty. Odinga saying the ongoing political shouting match over the alleged theft risks creating more confusion and may end up clouding the issues and even cover up for the suspected thieves.
The corruption allegations that...
On Saturday, Raila Odinga's Orange Democratic Movement dismissed claims of corruption in the procurement of COVID-19 equipment by the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority. Through the party's Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, ODM argued that the claims of theft of the 43 billion shillings were sensational and baseless.
We gather that the DCI has been called into KEMSA to investigate these matters. We, however, wonder how this can be so before a credible audit by the Auditor General is carried out to ascertain the veracity of some of these claims.
The claims by ODM attracting reactions from different quarters, among them Deputy President William Ruto, who took to Twitter to say that claims by ODM confirmed the worst of Kenyans' fears that their side of the handshake was never interested in the people's good but opportunity to loot.
Kama kuna pesa imepotea, ningetaka kuhakikishia Wakenya kwamba hiyo wale watu ambao wako responsible lazima kila mtu atabeba mzigo wake.
A multi-sectoral probe into the alleged scandal is currently underway, with the KEMSA board expected to appear before a Senate joint committee this week. For Channel 1 News, I am Edward Kabasa.
And now the national and county governments, in partnership with stakeholders, have intensified efforts to contain the spread of the coronavirus pandemic as the country strives to bend the COVID-19 infection curve. In Murang'a County, the efforts received a shot in the arm after Safaricom Foundation donated personal protective equipment worth 1.5 million shillings for use by health workers operating in the region.
The Safaricom team, led by their head of talent management, Peter Njioka, donated surgical masks, sanitizers and protective apparels which will be used by doctors and nurses as they attend to their daily duties. Njioka said his company has donated PPEs to 21 counties and the program will continue until all counties receive necessary support.
Ensure that our people who are infected get all the support, and also protect yourselves as medics so that we can progress well in this country.
Speaking as he received the PPEs, County Chief Executive Officer in charge of Health and Sanitation, Joseph Mbai, said Murang'a County Hospital needs more PPEs for medical workers as the facility attends about 800 patients on a daily basis.
We could be having stock that can last even 2 or 3 months, but that doesn't mean that we don't need, because COVID-19, the way it behaves is very unpredictable, and you could be saying you have enough and then you find yourself running out of stock because you have used in a day.
In the meantime, the management of cooperatives has commissioned a research to assess the impact of COVID-19 pandemic in the sector amid concern over the high number of loan defaulters. Speaking in Naivasha, Kenya Cooperative Coronavirus Response Committee Chair Francis Kamande said the survey is expected to be completed by the end of the year.
What we have appealed to all the financial institutions, including the SACCOs, is that let the case be handled case by case. Let the member come to the society, say this is how much I can be able to pay the loan, and amicably they will come up with a structured way to ensure that it is a win-win case.
Elsewhere, the Kenya Bureau of Standards has authorized Rongo University in Migori County to manufacture personal protective equipment in large scale. Rongo University's Chancellor, Professor Samuel Gudu, said the university has been manufacturing PPEs in small scale for use at sugar milling companies.
We are producing slightly over 250 per day, and within a short time we can make the thousands that are required. So we have made, like when we were selling to the sugar factories, we are selling them in thousands. So all it takes is to increase the number of tailors, and we will be in a position to deal with the big numbers.
And human rights activists in Kisumu on Monday held demonstrations demanding the arrest and prosecution of those involved in the alleged theft and loss of COVID-19 funds. Under the umbrella of Kenya Tuitakayo movement, the activists drawn from different social justice centers within the city said they were perturbed by the looting of the COVID-19 funds.
The Ministry of Health and other government institutions have disregarded calls by Kenyans and citizens to embrace openness and accountability by making public the allocation and expenditure of these funds. We have our demands, and these are our demands. 1, Madam Commissioner, all government agencies must immediately publish the names of companies and the beneficial owners and individuals awarded any contract for the COVID-19 related commodities or services, and the contract amount at the national and county level on the Public Procurement Information Portal. Viva comrades, viva! Viva! That these donations were meant for our frontliners, the police, the doctors, but these things have been stolen, Madam Commissioner. We cannot let that happen.
Finally, the government is set to unveil the fourth phase of the 15 billion shillings World Bank-funded youth training program aimed at unblocking opportunities for them through job market skills training within 2 weeks. Principal Secretary, State Department for Youth, Julius Korir, says the fourth circle of the Kenya Youth Employment Opportunities Program, being implemented across all 47 counties, was scheduled to be launched in April this year, but was suspended following the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. The initiative is targeting more than 70,000 youth who will receive free training on technical skills through the National Industrial Training Authority, where they are interned at private manufacturing entities and paid a monthly stipend of 6,000 shillings.
So we're here today to now assess the readiness of our master craftsmen, the apprentices, who are going to train our young people, their readiness to resume work and ensure that they comply with the COVID-19 Ministry of Health regulations. So we hope that Cycle 4, which was suspended when COVID was announced as a pandemic, will resume in another 2 weeks' time.
Beatrice Getonyang-Etich, Channel 1 News.
And now 2 persons at the center of the fatal shooting of a middle-aged man at the city's Kilimani area will learn whether they will be released on bail Tuesday, when the court will make a determination on whether to grant the prosecution more time to allow police complete investigations into the murder. Robert Oukobodo and Chris Philip Obure were arrested on Friday in connection with the death of a 28-year-old Kevin Omwenga.
The probe into the murder of 28-year-old Kevin Omwenga, which happened on Friday at the Galana Suites in Kilimani Estate, kicked off at the Kibera Law Courts on Monday amid lingering questions over the circumstances that preceded his death.
If the arresting agency so wish to hold an accused person beyond.
Appearing before Principal Magistrate Derry Kuto, the prosecution filed a miscellaneous application seeking to have 2 persons, Robert Oukobodo and Chris Philip Obure, remanded for 14 days to allow police complete investigations. Well, according to prosecution, the murder took place here at the Galana Suites on the 21st of August. The first respondent was arrested on the 22nd of August, and the second respondent was also arrested on the 22nd of August.
And due to the short period within which they were arrested, the police could not be able to conclude the investigations.
According to prosecution, 2 key witnesses are yet to record statements, have their fingerprints taken, as well as undertake photo profiling. Detectives are also planning to conduct DNA sampling before subjecting the same for analysis by the government chemist and also mental assessment. Police at the same time are investigating how a firearm license to Chris Philip Obure found its way to the hands of Robert Oukobodo.
That the firearm in question that was used to commit the offense was released in mysterious circumstances that are yet to be ascertained. It is not known how it was released to the second respondent, yet it was subject to an ongoing investigation, which I'm not privy to.
The defense team attempted to have the 2 suspects released on bail.
That the second respondent is a lawful owner of the firearm which is in question. That the firearm which is alleged to have been used to commit an offense belongs to him as a lawful licensee. Is described as a licensed firearm holder. That is in the notice of motion.
And it's very clear on the face of those provisions that it is the right of an arrested person to be released on bail, either by the police or by the court, as the law provides.
An autopsy to establish the cause of death of Kevin Omwenga is yet to be conducted. While Principal Magistrate Derek Kutu will now have to go through the submissions made opposing the application made by prosecution requesting for 14 days for further investigations and make a ruling on the 25th of Tuesday. For Channel 1 News, I'm Sarafina Robbie.
Well, you're watching Channel 1 News Hour. It's time for us to take a short break, but we will be back shortly with more news for you.
On the next episode of Corner.
This might sound a bit weird, but suddenly I feel like I'm back to the gym.
I even bought this. One chance to explain. After that, if you want nothing to do with me, I'll leave. And that'll be it.
Sache Kilaki, si uchi watachukia? Pole manze, hebu usilie, tutakubuy vitu zingine.
No, it's wonderful.
Wow.
Muda niko kwa edge
manze.
People gonna say all kind of things about you.
Wait them on. When you booty gon' show me now.
Baby, one time. Bossy baby, give me 2 times. Full 180. Crazy.
Let's go. Ha. I needed some with some bop in it.
Mamacita, where you at? I've been trying to reach you.
Katoto shepu awe, ayawe, ayawe.
Tekenya katoto, kamini tekenya.
Next on
El paraíso conocimos.
In Love with Ramon.
Well, welcome back. If you're watching us, if you're joining us, rather, you're watching Channel 1 News Hour. Let's now focus on some politics, where the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties has declined to give the green light to gazette proposed changes to ANC Constitution, dealing a blow to the party's restructuring plans in readiness for the 2022 political contest. In a letter to ANC, the registrar stipulates she received a letter of objection querying the legality in amending the party constitution without following due process. Jacqueline Wambiru with details of the new troubles facing the party.
Just recently, ANC party announced it will embark on rebranding and restructuring its party organs in preparation of the 2022 polls. But barely has the dust settled and its plans to amend the party constitution appear to have run into headlines after the Registrar of Political Parties declined the proposed constitutional changes. The Registrar of Political Parties, under it, pointed out she had received a letter of objection from Kisilu Wandati and company advocates that raised 5 issues regarding the legality in instituting the changes. The letter of objection dated 13 August 2020 sought to have the registrar refrain from gazetting the changes on grounds that the composition of the party's National Executive Council and the National Governing Council was a subject of concern, and the procedure in which they purportedly convened and held meetings were controversial. The letter also pointed out that the party failed to publish the notice in 2 newspapers of national outreach as per the law, and alteration of the party's name, symbol, slogan or color was not discussed in the meetings from the NEC or NGC meetings. The registrar has now called on ANC to conclusively resolve the issues raised in the letter as per the party's constitution before the proposed changes can be gazetted. This development comes after ANC party notified the public on August 6th of proposed changes to its constitution, rules and regulations. Among the proposed changes are the formation of a new organ called the Money Council, which has been designated as the second most powerful organ after the National Delegates Council, designating the party leader as the automatic chair of the NDC, as well as the Amani Council. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
And now over 180,000 identification cards and 6,000 birth certificates are lined and collected at the country's Huduma centers. The development coming amid growing concern over teething challenges facing the centers, including congestion and inconsistent internet.
Huduma centers across the country are grappling with over 180,000 uncollected identification cards and 6,000 birth certificates. The backlog coming as the centers that were meant to devolve government services to residents struggle to surmount a host of challenges, among them congestion and poor network connectivity. Speaking in Kajiado County, Public Service Principal Secretary Mary Kimonye said the government is installing digital services in all Huduma centers across the country so as to improve service delivery.
The possibilities are there for our youth so long as we are going digital. So we want to digitize. And I'm also proud to inform Wananchi that the State Department for Public Service, which I am the team leader, is leading innovation of public services.
Kimonye urging those who have applied for IDs and birth certificates to collect them from their respective Huduma centers to avoid backlog. Kimonye says the move is crucial as the government moves to enhance service delivery via digital platforms in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic.
The Wananchi are being served. And despite the challenges that may have come because of space, that we have been able to implement the Ministry of Health protocols.
Yusuf Farr, Channel 1 News.
And now a management plan that seeks to control the flow of tourists to the famous Masai Mara National Reserve appears to have rattled a section of political leaders drawn from Narok County. According to Narok North Member of Parliament, Moitalel Olekenta, the management plan that will be gazetted at the end of the month risks attracting the wrath of the local community as there was no public participation.
Renowned for the wildebeest migration, Masai Mara National Reserve has proved a global attraction, fascinating hundreds of tourists to flock the national resource each year. But a new management plan announced by Tourism Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala that the government says is expected to preserve and perhaps reverse the damage caused by high human traffic and commercial interest is attracting opposition from a section of political leaders from the region. Narok North MP Moitalel Olekenta says there was no public participation in the development of the plan that is set to be gazetted on 31st of August, even as he questioned the involvement of the person said to have illegally benefited from the reserve.
What are the contents of this plan? Who was consulted in the preparation and making of this plan?
Kenta saying the local community, especially the Purko and the Isiro clans who donated part of the reserve, must be consulted before the plan is executed, faulting the national government for allegedly interfering with the natural resource.
The moment the local community, the moment they realize that something detrimental to their interest is the food, then I'd like to advise you, you're actually endangering the existence of the Mara because the Maasai will not allow it.
While announcing the plan earlier this month, Tourism Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala said the national government, in partnership with the Narok County government, were working a plan on a strategy that seeks to conserve the world-famous reserve, which was being degraded at an alarming rate. Yusuf Farr, Channel 1 News.
And now the United States Food and Drug Administration has authorized the use of blood plasma from patients who have recovered from COVID-19 to treat those battling the disease. FDA says early evidence suggests plasma can decrease mortality and improve patients' health when introduced in the first 3 days of hospitalization. Over 23.6 million people across the world have been diagnosed with COVID-19.
Hours after United States President Donald Trump announced the emergency authorization of the convalescent plasma for COVID-19 patients, the plasma treatment has been given the green light by the Food and Drug Administration in the United States. Meanwhile, some 172 countries are engaging with the WHO-led COVAX plan designed to ensure equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines. World Health Organization, however, says more funding is urgently needed and countries should now make binding commitments. The development coming as Indonesia secured a supply of up to 16 million doses of potential COVID-19 vaccines from China and the United Arab Emirates. The supply is part of the 290 million vaccines that will be made available for Indonesia throughout 2021. And nearly 9 months since the new coronavirus was detected in the Chinese city of Wuhan, the COVID-19 disease it causes appears to be spreading faster than ever around the world, with some countries reporting their highest daily infection rates. India passed the 3 million cases mark after recording just under 70,000 on Sunday. India has had the highest number of daily new cases in the world for the last 18 days, registering more than 50,000 new cases each day. South Korea, a country praised for its initial handling of the coronavirus pandemic, has reported its highest daily total since March, warning that the country is on the brink of a nationwide outbreak, while Germany, France, Spain and Italy are also recording rising daily figures. The number of daily coronavirus cases recorded in Italy has nearly doubled in the past 5 days, jumping to more than 1,200 over the past 24 hours. Elsewhere, Russia reported 4,744 new coronavirus cases, pushing its confirmed infection tally to 961,493, the fourth largest in the world. And Finland says it will tighten restrictions on public gatherings from September, limiting them to 50 people unless further measures are in place due to a recent rise in COVID-19 cases. Australia's second most populous state of Victoria has reported the lowest daily rise in new infections in 7 weeks. More than 16 million people around the world have recovered from the disease. At least 813,000 people have died, according to data from Johns Hopkins University. For Channel 1 News, I'm Emily K. Buddy.
And now the national movement of grassroots women-based groups and self-help groups in Kenya are demanding prompt interventions to tame rising cases of gender-based violence. The groups are expressing concern over the increase in GBV cases and saying they are aggravated owing to mental illness. More details in the county briefs.
National movement of grassroots women-based groups and self-help groups in Kenya say that while gender-based violence did not start with the onset of COVID-19, many homes have recently become dangerous for women and girls. Speaking in Ruiru after meeting the county women leaders and females aspiring to become leaders, Mary Knuthia, a member of the organization, maintained that gender-based violence is a criminal offense and called for the establishment of an institution where victims of gender-based violence can be given a psychosocial support.
There is nothing domestic about gender-based violence. GBV is a criminal act and must be treated as so. Perpetrators of gender-based violence must be prosecuted.
Meanwhile, mentally challenged children in Thika, Kiambu County have benefited from a project that will support the production and sale of artwork and other items made by the children.
We deal with basic learning to be able to take care of themselves on terms of hygiene and basic writing and reading, but also crafts, making things that they can use using their hands. And the biggest thing they are doing is making beads and also making mats that we can use when you're on a dining table, and such kind of things that are done by hand. And they try to sell them to be able to bring in a bit of income.
The 7.5 million shilling donation will include the construction of a workshop and outlet facilities where children will engage in making beads and mats, among other items.
We came with an idea that we don't have to put kids in the streets to be borrowing money. But when they come here, they are given basic needs, they are shown basic works, so that after even leaving the school, and go out there, they'll be able to survive by themselves.
And a group of livestock traders drawn from Samburu County are appealing to the government to intervene and have 5 bulls that were seized by authorities at Rumuruti Market returned back to them.
Kwa hivyo hiyo ng'ombe tunajua background yao. Kwa hivyo tunasema serikali aingilia kati ya hiyo ng'ombe.
According to the traders, they had legally purchased the 5 bulls from a farm at Loibangare, Losukwad in Samburu County before the authorities seized them, saying they had been stolen from Baringo County.
Nikanunua ng'ombe 5 mandumi. Hiyo ng'ombe nikapeleka soko la Murti. Wakati asubuhi kufika soko, polisi na vijana wengi wakakuja hapo wakanishika. Wakisema ng'ombe ni ya wizi.
In the meantime, anti-riot police officers in Kitui forcefully dispersed residents of Mutendea village in Kitui Central who were protesting against Sino-Hydro Corporation, a Chinese firm building the Kitui-Kibwezi Road. The angry protesters had for hours barricaded the Mutendea-Siongia-Maram Road, accusing the road contractor of draining and polluting their only source of water, besides failing to initiate SCR projects.
They are
they are directing their sewages to our main river, which is the core lifeline of our people. Furthermore, the kind of the machinery they are trying to use, they are heavy machineries, they are causing damages to our road, and what we are demanding from them is either they tarmac the road, they drill a borehole so that they can tap the water, and when they are leaving their place, they leave that borehole to our people.
Finally, a program to provide sanitary towels to school-going girls kicked off in Murang'a County. The program, which will benefit at least 2,000 girls, was launched following concerns a majority of school-going girls missed school during their menstrual cycle. Calls also intensified for those found guilty of defilement to face the law amid calls for the identification of members to guide the teenage girls on how to avoid making an early sexual debut that contributes to an increase in teen pregnancies.
Kunakuwa na ile settlement. Wanaenda mzazi anaenda pale na ule mvikaji mimba pia anaenda pale, wanaongea, wanaambiana nitakupatia shilingi 10,000, hii mambo ishi hapo. Ningeuliza wazazi tafadhali. Ukipatiwa shilingi 10,000 ndio hiyo mambo ishi hapo. Umeharibia msichana wako elimu yake, umemharibia mpaka maisha yake. Tafadhali tuachane na hiyo maneno ya kuseto hizo mambo huko nje.
Yusuf Farah, Channel 1 News.
On the next episode of Ashoka.
Please forgive me, Princess Ahankara. I had no choice. The honor of my mother and motherland was at stake.
Why did you lie to me then? Why did you not tell me the truth?
Prince Ashok has entered the palace, but he does not know that apart from Emperor Bindusar, everyone else is an enemy.
KBC, in collaboration with the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, is broadcasting enhanced out-of-class learning on radio, television, and online. Catch the lessons every weekday on KBC Channel 1 from 2 to 4 p.m., on KBC English Service and 15 FM from 9:15 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Radio Taifa from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. KBC English Service, Radio Taifa, and 15 FM are also available countrywide on the free-to-air Signet digital TV platform, or log on to www.kbc.co.ke for live streaming, or download the KBC online app on Google Play Store. Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, ensuring learning no matter what.
Time for some business news now, and the government has licensed 1 locally registered fishing vessel and 3 registered in Seychelles to supply fish to Liwatoni Fishery Complex in Mombasa County and enhance its production capacity. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya says the government will also seek additional joint ventures to boost harvest for the facility, which is expected to begin operations in September.
The complex, expected to open its doors from next month, has the capacity to handle 500 metric tons of fish from the deep seas. 150 metric tons will be distributed locally, while the rest allocated for export market. The government seeks to embark on the second phase of the project that will see the construction of a manufacturing plant as it widens its scope of harvest. However, the slow implementation of the project, as well as other reclaimed fishing sites, has been met with concern by the government.
We think we can review the speed of the remaining work to be able to complete it in good time, and we believe we can also review the budget we have to make sure the other crucial facilities that are not being budgeted for are budgeted for.
So far, 3 foreign fishing vessels from Seychelles and 1 Kenyan vessel have been outsourced and licensed to supply the market demand. However, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya is advocating for joint ventures, particularly from local suppliers, to boost the catch.
So you can see how low we are in terms of the ability to exploit the fisheries that we have, because we only have 6 vessels when we need 72. But we are not in a hurry to just license. We need also local capacity, so that it's not just foreign vessels coming. We need also local capacity.
While inspecting various blue economy projects at the coast, CS Munya cautioned contractors against delaying projects key to helping Kenya attain food security.
It's a question of aligning our priorities so that the key facilities that are required for this complex to be functional, and for the private sector to be able now to come in and generate the wealth and resources that are required and add value can come in.
Juni Karisa from Mombasa County.
And now Lower Kuja Irrigation Development Project is targeting to enroll additional 4,200 farmers as the scheme enters phase 3 of the implementation. Operationalization of the project has seen some fishermen diversify to rice farming, which is gaining traction in Nyatike, Migori County.
Nyatike had predominantly been a fishing and mining region due to its proximity to Lake Victoria and the Makalda mines. However, the operationalization of the Lower Juja Irrigation Development Project has reinvented economic activities in the area.
Rice farming is giving us good profit because it doesn't have the very bad challenges like the ones that you experience at the lake. I would say right now I'm confidently able to pay fees for my children, unlike before.
80% has now left fishing and now they are doing rice production, because in farming they are assured at the end of 3 months they are going to get something.
About 5,000 farmers are targeted as the project enters phase 3 of its implementation, up from the current 800 farmers.
The significant crop here that is produced is rice in the so-called national schemes that run from Mwea to Ahero to Bunyala to Lower Kuja. And on that front, about 90% of the rice produced in the country is produced in these schemes.
Of the 3,500 acres, 3,000 acres have been put under rice cultivation and 500 acres under sugarcane. The 2 crops are rotated with other horticultural crops.
Within 2 years, in an area where farming was not being practiced, for you to bring 3,000 under irrigated agriculture, that means the community has really embraced the project.
Tayari inanipa kipato. Ardhi naweza nikatumia kwa kulimia mchele ambayo zamani haikuweza.
The farmers say their livelihoods have improved due to rice farming that has so far taken up 3,500 acres in phase 2 of the project's implementation in Sagama and Oribo areas. According to National Irrigation Authority Deputy General Manager Daniel Atula, total rice production currently stands at 12,000 tons per harvesting season from the 3,000 acres. Regina Manyara reporting for Channel 1 Business.
And now, in an attempt to stem rising cases of fraud, Equity Bank has consolidated its communication platform where customers will be contacted using one line. The bank says the universal number for all its outgoing customers is also part of the rebranding exercise. Kenyans have lost millions of shillings to money scammers who pretend to call from various banking institutions.
Cases of phone scammers has increased in the last 2 years as more bank customers embrace the mobile phone banking in the country. In Kenya, 83% of the population are now engaged in the formal financial system, up from 27% in 2006, thanks to the growth of mobile money platforms. However, this growth has raised the antenna of cons who prey on unsuspecting customers. The scammers call or send text messages to customers pretending to be bank agents, where customers are lured to revealing their bank details like passwords. This latest deception is known as number spoofing because the fraudsters call customers using a phone number which is mimic that of their real banks. The Central Bank of Kenya has in the past directed commercial banks to move their outbound calls to customers on one platform to minimize these cases. Equity Bank says it has rolled out the 073-000-000 universal number for all outgoing calls to its customers. However, customers can still access the bank customer centers using the 100 or 073-063-000 numbers.
Is gaining traction among local smallholder farmers in Nakuru County, buoyed by increase in awareness and training programs. Organic Agriculture Center of Kenya Extension Officer Ndirango Karaoke says practice of competitive organic farming will boost production of healthy food and conserve the ecosystems which have been damaged over the years due to heavy use of chemicals.
The latest data from the Kenya Organic Agriculture indicate that the value of organic agricultural products traded on the Kenyan market stood at 440 million, while the sale of vegetables in the local market topped the list at 9,820 metric tons, followed by tea and dry cereals at 2,500 metric tons and 1,800 metric tons, respectively. As such, organic farming is taking root as stakeholders intensify sensitization and training programs in target counties. The move is expected to boost production of healthy food and conserve the ecosystems that have been damaged over the years due to heavy use of chemicals.
Kilimo yangu ni ya mbolea ya ng'ombe na mbolea hii mbolea pekee nalima cabbage na terere na managu na sukuma na carrot. Inataka kuambia wama wengine mafuate kilimo hiyo.
Those practicing organic farming have recorded tremendous growth in their output due to reduction in losses.
We normally work with them in improving their animal manure so that it can be a good fertilizer for the soil and the crops. We also work with them in the area of using vegetation that grows wildly in the farm to prepare pesticides that normally would not harm humans, insects, and even the environment.
Macadamia nuts are grown principally in eastern parts of the country, and cashew nuts, majorly farmed in the coastal region, comprise the bulk of organic farming exports at 70,000 metric tons and 20,000 metric tons, respectively.
We are also seeing a lot of health benefits from the organic farming, from the consumer even to the farmer as they are on the farm. So it is also in terms of incomes, it helps the farmers as they are able to minimize a lot of inputs, which are so very costly for the small-scale farmers.
Experts have termed organic farming as an untapped gold mine that local farmers need to exploit.
We also call upon the government to support smallholder farmers who are practicing organic agriculture in terms of having policies that are supporting organic agriculture and also having budget allocation for organic agriculture.
Kenya so far has 30,000 farmers practicing organic farming. Regina Manyara reporting for Channel 1 Business.
And now challenges attributed to relocation of power infrastructure is likely to delay the completion of the Western Bypass in Nairobi County. The contractor, China Road and Bridge Corporation, says the delays have been occasioned by dragging acquisition of road reserves for power lines by the National Land Commission. Now, NLC says discussion with landowners, which was delayed due to COVID-19 pandemic, is currently underway.
The Western Bypass is one of the 4 highways built to direct motorized traffic away from the central business district of the city of Nairobi in a bid to deal with the endemic traffic jams on the city streets. The 17 kilometers bypass is one of the 4 bypass roads that form a 97 kilometers ring road around the city of Nairobi. Being constructed at a cost of 17 billion shillings, the road, which was initially supposed to start in 2017, has been beset by various challenges, including funding, which saw the project delayed by almost 3 years. And with only 30% of the work done, the Western Bypass is staring at delays once again. The contractor, Achieng'a Road and Bridges Corporation, says the relocation of power cables is 90% in Section 1 and 40% in Section 2. The Section 3 is at 3%, which is raising concerns due to the slow progress in acquisition of land by the National Lands Commission. NLC says discussions and negotiations with landowners in the area is ongoing and hopes to conclude the process by the end of September this year. Any further delay in completion of the project is likely to raise the cost of constructing the highway, which is touted as one of the most expensive roads in the country. The road, which will feature the construction of a two-lane dual carriageway, will link the southern bypass at Gitaru to the northern bypass in Ruaka. The contract also entails building a bus park at Wangigi, 10 kilometers of walkways and footpaths. O'Brien came out for Business, News Hour.
Now to some sports news, where the Ministry of Sports has today released return to sport guidelines, which stakeholders are expected to go through and give their opinions before a return to sport date is set. All sporting disciplines in the country were stopped in March after the first coronavirus case was reported in the country.
Men and women may soon get their game back on after the Ministry of Sports released return to sport guidelines, though a definite date is yet to be set. Stakeholders have 7 days to go through the document and give their opinions on the set guidelines before a definite date is set for the return of contact and non-contact sporting activities in the country.
I'm aware that stakeholders have waited eagerly for the release of these guidelines by our ministry. Due to the nature of the pandemic, it was imperative to take a delicate, diligent process to satisfy Ministry of Health and World Health Organization directives on the same, including on public participation. The advisory committee will therefore make a comprehensive presentation, after which we will open a window of 7 days for stakeholder engagement and feedback. The guidelines will also be available on the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Heritage website.
Various disciplines will be rolled out in bits and phases, just as has been witnessed in other countries where there has been resumption. These will include testing for players and officials in the first phase, return to individual training and eventually group training. Stakeholders were, however, concerned with testing of players, which they say will be too expensive.
In Kenya, the situation and considerations of safety above all else compelled us to postpone major global and continental sports events. The WRC Safari Rally, the World Athletics Under-20 Championship, the Continental Tour, the Rugby Bathurst Cup, and the magical Kenya Open Golf Championship. The grinding to a halt of all sporting events, though painful, was for a good reason: to ensure the safety and the security of all players in the sector and in the country at large.
All sporting activities in Kenya were stopped in March when the first coronavirus case was reported.
And now French police say they have made 148 arrests following riots in the capital after Paris Saint-Germain's 1-0 defeat by Bayern Munich in the Champions League final last night. Now, the clashes occurred around PSG Stadium, where fans had gathered to watch the game on a big screen. Cars were set on fire and shop windows were smashed. PSG were bidding to win the Champions League for the first time. Kingsley Coman, who started his career at PSG, settled the tense affair with a 59th minute header at the far post from Joshua Kimmich's cross to leave the French Giants still searching for that elusive Champions League triumph. Well, that's it from the Channel 1 news team tonight. As always, thank you, Kenya, for watching. My name is Catherine Achieng'a. Our sign language interpreter this evening is Simon Karoda. But before we bid you good night, of course, we have the weather report coming up next with Irene Mchuma Odim. What does your weather look like? The details are up next. But from us and the entire team, do have yourself a good night and God bless you.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to Channel 1 Weather Update. I hope you're well. My name is Irene Mchoma Odem. Tonight, there are scattered wet conditions in Nairobi and counties around the region. Similar weather conditions are being experienced over the northwestern parts of the country. The Lake Basin region and western parts of the country are currently experiencing showers accompanied by thunderstorms. This, as the rest of the country has been covered with partly cloudy conditions, though tonight, Kericho, Narok and Eldoret are the coldest. Temperatures stand at 12 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow, it will rain in the capital again during the morning hours. Similar weather conditions will prevail in Meru and Nyeri. The southeastern lowlands, Machakos, Makindu, Voi will experience cloudy conditions. That means cold weather conditions will prevail during the early morning hours. There will be scattered wet conditions at the coastal strip. The northern parts of the country will mainly experience sunny conditions. It will rain in Eldoret and Kitale during the morning hours, as much as sunny conditions will dominate the western parts of the country and the Lake Basin region. But then this will change during the afternoon hours. There will be showers accompanied by thunderstorms over several places in the western parts of the country. The northeastern parts of the country will mainly be sunny. A few areas at the coastal strip will experience scattered wet conditions. And for you in Garissa, during the afternoon hours, expect showers over a few places. Temperatures in the capital will still be at it, just as today will range between 22 and 13 degrees Celsius. The highest temperatures across the country will be experienced in Lodwar at 35 degrees Celsius. And on that note, let's now cross the borders and have a look at the international forecast. Do have a good night and be warm.
Greetings, my viewer. My name is Pastor Walter Malongo Bulimu. I'm the senior pastor of the Friends International Center Church on Ngong Road. This morning, I would like to share with you from the book of Isaiah, chapter number 25, verse number 3 to 5. It is my prayer that you'll have hope as we continue during this time. And I want to talk about trusting in God during our time of distress. The Bible says in the book of Isaiah 25, verse 3 to 5, "Therefore shall the strong people glorify thee, the city of the treble nations shall fear thee. For thou hast been a strength to the poor, a strength to the needy in his distress, a refuge from the storm, a shadow from the heat, when the blast of the treble one is as a storm against the wall. Thou shalt bring down the noise of strangers as the heat in the dry place, even the heat with the shadow of a cloud. The branch of the treble ones shall be brought low." My dear viewer, I know many things are happening today. Just like the children of Israel, they were in distress. They were crying. They were weeping. Things were not working for them because of their captivity. They were living in captivity. People were attacking them. And God raises Isaiah, who gives them hope in the book of Isaiah 25. He says to them that the Lord will bring strength to the poor. The Lord will bring strength to the needy. A time like this, people are struggling with poverty. A time like this, people are struggling with need. A time like this, nations are going down. I want to speak to you this time, and I'm speaking to you, informing you that our God is able to bring joy even to the poor. Our God is able to bring even strength to the needy, because our God is here to minister to us. During the time of distress, my dear viewer, don't lose hope. Look at the Lord, who is able to give us hope, the Lord who is able to give us strength even the time of need. He says he will bring down the noise of the strangers. I know in our lives we have many noises of strangers, and this time we are dealing with a stranger in the nation. We are dealing with a stranger in the world, the stranger of coronavirus. God is saying he will bring down the noise of such strangers, and he will hit dry the place where this stranger is racing. And I want to speak this time, and speaking to you, I want to tell you our God is able to bring silence in the camp of the strangers. God is able to bring silence in the camp of our enemies, because he is our God who is able to stand with us. As we continue in this season, as we continue in this moment, it is my prayer that we shall seek our refuge from the Lord, who is able to bring peace, who is able to bring restoration, who is able to bring strength. Don't look at your situation. Look at what God can do, because God is raising us and he's setting us above. May God minister hope in your life. May God minister peace in your life, because our God is so faithful and he comes at the right time. It is my prayer that God will reach us at our points of need, bringing hope, because our trust is in him. I want us to pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we come before you this time. We know we are in a difficult moment, but it is our hope that, King of all glory, we shall call on your name, and when we call on your name, you will be able to hear us. May you hear my viewer. May you walk with them during this time of coronavirus, oh God. May you bring healing. May you bring restoration. Heal our economy, heal our people, heal our families, and may you guide us through. I worship you. I exalt you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen and amen.